Welcome to Whisper Wisdom, our show about business, entrepreneurship, and power. Coming up to the show, the art of visual storytelling and branding in luxury hospitality. Thank you so much, Mimi, for joining me today. Could you give me a quick introduction about yourself?
My name is Miriam. Everybody calls me Mimi. I'm from Barcelona, Spain. I'm a marketing specialist and also a photographer and creative director. I moved to the United States in 2021 because my husband's from here.
I know you have very enhanced background about marketing and you're a professional photographer. Can you share with us how did you get started as a freelancer in professional photography and marketing branding for luxury hotels and restaurants?
To be honest, I started really early. I started because I was back in Barcelona, back in Spain. I was studying. I was in my second year of college, and I'm actually double majored in advertising, public relations, and marketing studies. So I was doing my career, and a brand which is huge now. Her name, the brand's name, it's called Touchland. It's a hand sanitizer company, and it's from Barcelona, and they reached out because they loved my photography on my Instagram, on my personal Instagram. So I started like that. I started really small, freelancing for companies and hotels and restaurants, not in the luxury industry, just more like on the normal kind of medium spectrum. And then while I was working, because I was working also as a marketing specialist for Barcelona City Hall in the communications department. I was interning there. And at the same time, I was freelancing for little restaurants and here and there, because the good thing about this industry is that once you do a good job, everybody kind of talks about it. And it's, like people are like, oh, Miriam's doing this. Okay, I like her work. I'm going to hire her. So it started like a little bit like that. And then back in 4 years ago, I decided to actually open my own digital marketing agency. So I had my own digital marketing agency for 4 years that actually was specialized in creative and visual assets. So we were specialized in photography, and we were specialized in branding, especially like a lot of colors, a lot of forms and shapes and logos, and creating actually like visual essences for different brands. So that helped me a lot in the professional sense of being really specific visually, and like being really specific on the different styles that we needed to create for different brands. Like we had clients like yoga studios, interior design studios, branding studios, restaurants. Like I had all different types of clients, and that actually like helped me train myself and train my eye to different aspects and different industries. And then that's when Four Seasons actually reached out, and I started working with them as a marketing communications manager. And now I'm freelancing for them, which is great. It's just climbing up the ladder little by little. I think that's what it is. Like you start in the industry and you start grabbing everything you can, and then that helps you a lot from learning from different clients and different like creative aspects.
And also consistency about great works.
Exactly. Like putting the pressure on yourself that every project that you do, take it really, really seriously.
Take credits for everything you did for your work.
Yeah. Sometimes that doesn't happen the way you do, that you want it to, but in the end, like you're creating that journey, which is important.
What are some of the key challenges when you're facing working in the luxury hospitality industry, and how did you overcome them?
That's a really good question, I think. Like that's a really spot on question, because it's really hard to be challenges. There's a lot of them. So you can't get overwhelmed about them. So for example, when you have a 9-to-5 job, you know what your salary is going to be, you have stability, economical stability, you have a lot of like routine, you have your own routine, you have your own aspects. So when you're a freelance, it's really hard you have to create your own routine. That's number one, and that's sometimes really hard. Number two, in the luxury aspect of it, in the luxury hospitality, it's hard because the spectrum that it is with a normal restaurant or the medium rated restaurant, it's here. With the luxury one, it's up here. So it's really, really high. Every project that you do, the pressure, it's way higher, it's way bigger. So I think overcoming that anxiety and overcoming that like emotional distress of being like, okay, I'm gonna do a good job, I'm ready for it, and convincing yourself that you're good enough. And sometimes that's the hardest part. And luxury industry nowadays is changing really rapidly because the travel industry has changed a lot after COVID. So I think being on the trend and being aware of the changes of the industry, that's a key part of it. Reading a lot about it, reading about new hotels, reading about new ratings, being on top of the new establishments that are coming up, new creative, like there's a lot of creative new hotel chains that are like really high end, really luxurious, and they are doing things differently. And with every brand that you work in my case, I'm more specialized with Four Seasons, but in every brand that you actually work with, you have to understand their method, their values, what is their approach. And then I think that's kind of one of the key challenges that you face, understanding that.
I agree. I think be adaptive to this whole
Exactly.
changeable whole environment. I agree. Like post
Exactly.
COVID, so many things has been changed.
A lot of things, like a lot of hotel chains have struggled with that, and especially with the luxury ones.
Maybe people like their intention of going those luxury hotels are different, and some people just want for experience. Some people think that's like normal life. So how do they actually adapt that mindset to each different individuals is very important. And how you can show that in front of everyone by using marketing strategy, it's also another key point.
Exactly.
Right.
That's exactly it.
So, how do you approach creating unique and compelling content for your client in such a competitive market?
Everybody has their own style, and you have to be loyal to that. In my case, in my opinion, and in my experience, I think what I answer that question is a lot of research. Like, you have to research a lot what other competitors are doing. What are the competitors of your client? What are they doing visually speaking? And then, without comparing, creating visual inspirations before you do the project. So I do a lot of mood boards, a lot of research, a lot of visual inspiration on Pinterest. Pinterest is my best friend sometimes because it creates a lot of, like, you're starting to actually adapt your eye and train your eye and your brain to do that project by itself. For example, I use a lot of music. I create playlists for every project that I do. The other day, where we met in the event of the Dolce Vita and Amalfi Coast inspired event, I was listening to a lot of like Italian music, Amalfi Coast music, like a lot of like that inspiration. Every creative aspect of your brain is going to start adapting to that. And I think that's really important. And then once you're on the job, I think it's observing, a lot of observing what's happening. What are the little objects? What are the elements that you can work with? What are the people that are there? And then once you start one project like that, you're going to start doing it with everything you do. And I think once you observe what's happening surrounding you, what are the elements? What are the flowers? What are the little accessories that the women are wearing? What are the purses? What are the jewelry? What are the like little things like that? That helps you create unique content that maybe other hotels are not creating, because that's your eye and that's your style.
I really like the idea about you're saying your eyes and also your content are very connected together, because I really
Yes.
remember that when you taking pictures, you did not only focusing on people, but also try to connecting the whole environment, the event, and the individuals, also their own stuff can connect it the whole thing. So I think that was very different.
I think it's a circle. I always imagine it as a circle. Sometimes photographers focus on doing the job like, oh, an event. Okay, I'm gonna shoot the people in the event. No, there's a lot of key elements, and there's a lot of the team behind it that put that event together, that they had like a storytelling behind it. So I think it's really important to not also like know that side of it, but also trust your gut. Create something that it's different. Observe what the competitors are doing and trust your gut and create something that it's different, that it's unique, that it's you. That's always going to win. Like, instead of copying, creating something that it's you, that it's original, that it's authentic, that it's genuine, in my experience, to create unique and compelling content. Because that's, visually speaking, that relates. When people see that, then they're like, wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, being truly down to earth and the story.
Exactly.
Yeah, speaking of storytelling, can you discuss the importance of storytelling in your work and how it enhances the brand of luxury accomplishments?
I think that question has different aspects. So one thing is the storytelling, and then there's the storytelling in luxury hospitality. So I'm lucky enough to have worked on the branding industry, on the marketing industry. So I already have that knowledge and that context behind me. So once you know something, you cannot unknow it. It's really important that to understand that photography is also telling stories. Every photo you take has a story behind it. That no matter what you do, where you take the photo, if you take a photo of a bird, if you take a photo, anything you do has a story behind it. The importance is asking yourself what story there is. What is it that you're imagining that the story is? And then not only animated things, also inanimated things, like little objects, little things have a story behind it. So that's one thing. That's one aspect of it. The second aspect of it is the luxury part of it. So the luxury part of it is that there's that storytelling put to a higher standard. So once that storytelling that you have actually created, for example, let's use the event that we were together the other day on Wednesday. So what you do is actually see the people that is surrounding you, imagining their stories, imagining what's behind it, and then try to elevate it as much as you can. So that shot that you're taking is actually, you're taking a photo of a person in that event, but how do you make it luxurious? That's the question. How do you make that storytelling being a little bit high end? So give that person a glass of champagne. Those little details make the difference. In photography, every little detail makes a difference. What's that earring that the girl is wearing? Is it diamonds? Is it brilliant? The audience, when they see the picture, they see the girl holding a glass of champagne with a diamond earring, and they unconsciously, they're already understanding that that's high end, that that's luxury. The key element is that the organic storytelling about that picture, but at the same time adding those elements that are making it high end, that are making it luxurious, that are making it genuine at the same time. I had a project on February, which I shot a whole cooking book. It's an organic health cooking book, but at the same time, it had a lot of storytelling because it was really personal to the girl that was doing the cooking book. So she was telling me she has a residence at the Four Seasons, and we were debating where to shoot, and I was like, where do you feel at home? Where is it genuine for you to be able to create that content? And at the end of the day, we ended up shooting it in their house in Carmel. So it was really, because that also adds on onto the storytelling. It has to be genuine. It has to be her. It needed to be her. It needed to transport the family moments, all these little things that they add on. And then you add on the luxury elements. So here and there, you put like the light here, the light there, the glass that it's holding that product, then it makes it high end. Every place has its essence. Everything that you shoot has its essence. So every restaurant you shoot has its essence. Everything has its story. And if you research and you know what's the story behind it, that's going to be able to give you the storytelling part. If we go and we shoot without not knowing, it's really hard how to transfer that storytelling visually.
What advice do you have for aspiring freelancers looking to enter the niche of luxury hospitality photography and marketing?
I think one of them is don't compare yourself. Just don't. I know it's really easy to say, and with Instagram it's really, really hard to not compare yourself, but don't compare yourself. Observe what other photographers are doing without comparing. So focus on your own work, focus on your own strategy, be really humble about it, because at the end of the day, it's the attitude that you take in with those clients and with your projects. So be humble, understand what is it that you want to capture, and focus on that. Research on that instead of comparing yourself, because right now with social media, that's really, really hard, and we compare ourselves. It's like, oh, that one's better, I'm never going to be as good as that. And that's not true. It's a process, and there's a lot of practice behind it, but you can get there. You just have to believe in yourself. But if you, like, those little horses that have the little barriers on, yeah, focus on that, focus on your work. That's one of my first advices that I would give to anybody. The second one is focus on winning. Don't focus on the winners. Don't focus on everybody else that is doing what they're doing. Focus on your project, on you winning that project, on you making the best you can do with that creative brief that you have in front of you. Then the third one is practice, 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 practice. Once you have free time, take your camera and go outside and shoot other stuff, and that's going to help you manage the camera way quicker, way easier. You're going to be able to understand the equipment that you're using in a much better way, in a much faster way. And also your eye is going to be trained in other aspects. And also practice with things that you're not used to. And that's I think that's something that I take really seriously. For example, nature for me, it's really hard to shoot because it moves really fast and there's a lot of things happening at once. And I think that's the best practice in my experience and in my field. I shoot lifestyle, I shoot architecture, I shoot interior design, but I'm not used to shooting nature. So when I have free time, I put myself out there. Don't be afraid to putting yourself out there in industries that you're not actually used to shooting or used to creating visual aspects on. Fourth one is make a strategy for your professional career. What is it? What is your goal? And how are you going to get there? And focus on that journey. And focus and set your eyes on the winning, on the goal. Believe that that's going to happen, and it will happen. It takes time, but it will happen. Keep your head down, because attitude is everything. Like, be kind, be humble, be understanding, and be as generous as you can. And little by little, everything's going to start falling into place. Because at the end of the day, photographers are artists. It's like a sculptor, it's like a painter. Everybody has their own style, and trust your gut. That's my final advice. I think it is believe in yourself. Believe in your work, believe in yourself, put your head down and put the work in, and it will happen.
That's so valuable advices for everyone who's into this industry. It's a lot. Could you share some insights into your creative process when developing branding strategies for luxury hotels and restaurants?
I think it's one of the first things that I do is be open to every project that comes along. Try to, even if you can't grab it, or even if they don't hire you, it's the research that you do behind it. Be open to it, inspire yourself towards it, bathe yourself into all those ideas. And at the end of the day, if that doesn't happen, it doesn't matter, because the second one is going to happen and the third one is going to happen, and you already did that mental work of being able to to adapt your mind into the creative process. I think inspire yourself by seeing other creators, listen to music, and listen to, like, do all the creative aspects of it. So use your hearing, use your eyesight, use your touch. The touch is really important because everything has texture. So on photography, you have to be able to transmit that texture. When you're seeing a flower and you're shooting a flower, how's that flower? Is it soft? Is it not soft? Is it spiky? Is it not spiky? How is it? And that's, you're going to have to transfer that texture in a visual aspect. So all the senses are important in photography. Like, what is it that you're imagining when you see that photo? And I think in my creative process, I try to train my body, my whole brain, to every project that I do, especially in luxury ones, because it's another level, it's another pressure, it's another, it's another industry that it's really like demanding. So you want to be able to focus in every sense, and you want your project to focus in every single sense.
So I guess last question, I would say, what trends do you see emerging in luxury hospitality marketing and branding? And how are you adapting your approach to stay ahead?
I think right now, the trends right now that are happening nowadays in 2024, it's a trend that is going to be directed by, that it's going to be lead by joyfulness, natural insight, generosity, something that it's not staged, something that it's real, that it's natural, that it's all the luxury industry is going to, it's moving farther and farther away of what it used to be. So we have to understand the history of it. What it used to be that photo of the Palace Hotel where the bed was made exactly perfect, where everything was perfect. Now the industry is moving away from that. It's moving away from that, and it's going towards a sense of the bed that is used, that it's moved, that there's movement into it, that there's humor into it. So the person is laying down there with their bathrobe, reading a newspaper, you doing natural, not without being staged. So I think it's moving away from that, and it's going to that trend, the trend of more social media aspect of it, more being more natural, being more joyful. Into that aspect, when you see that content makes you want to be there. That's the whole goal. Once you see that, you're like, oh, I want to be living that experience. I want to be there. I want to be in that bed. I want to be that person. We have to be on top of those trends. We actually have to. It has to be, as photographers and as creative people, we have to be on top of all that. And for example, like, if there's a huge movie happening, I remember when I was working there as a marketing manager, the Barbie movie went out, and actually Four Seasons Beverly Wilshire hosted the premiere of the Barbie movie, and we were all thinking about ways of being able to also support that. So I had this idea of doing Barbie at Four Seasons Apple Valley. So we created this whole reel, and I produced this whole reel of a day of Barbie being at Four Seasons Apple Valley and actually experiencing all that. And once you create something that it's unique, that it's generous, that it's witty, that it has a little bit of humor of it, because it had the humor of Barbie laying down on a bed chair in the pool, which the bed chair is huge and Barbie's this tiny. So we created the humor of the different sizes of it, and it went viral. It went it did a great job. So I think it's moving towards that aspect of it, the aspect of being joyful and without losing the luxury part of it. And I think that's the trend that it's happening right now. Also, something that I wanted to also share was for other people listening to this podcast. If that's what you want to do, like if this is what you want to do for a living, go ahead, jump in, jump to the pool, do it. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of people that like have that fear of what if and hesitation. Like what if I'm not able to do it? What if I don't reach the goal? And sometimes it's easier to just jump in, and there's a lot of groundwork to be done. Like there's a lot of practice to do. There's a lot of emailing to do. There's a lot of the hesitation of closing a project. Am I going to do it? Am I going to close it? Am I going to not? Just believe that it's going to happen. If you believe that it's going to happen, it will happen. And you put in the work, it will happen.
Yeah, I see that you are really passionate. You're a passionate photographer and storytelling person, that you have a lot of aspects for people who actually wanted to join this industry. It's very inspiring. Be very inspired by you, so they can not having fear in their mind, but jump into what they wanted to do without even hesitate any second.
Yeah, and I invite everybody, and now I'm going to sell myself, but I invite everybody to follow my journey and to ask me any questions at any point. Like they can always reach out to me at any point, and I'm going to be there helping them out. As I said, like I have a few projects coming up this month that are really, really interesting and that are a challenge for me. Like I'm going to Four Seasons Oahu to shoot for 6 days.
Wow.
And I'm really excited about it, but at the same time, I'm really scared about it, and it's normal. But I think it's, once you're scared, you just put in the work, put in the research, create that essence that you want to do, and you'll get it done. You'll just get it done.
Welcome to Whisper Wisdom, our show about business, entrepreneurship, and power. Coming up to the show, the art of visual storytelling and branding in luxury hospitality.